All right, so have you guys noticed this whole thing with anime avatars online? Like, especially on YouTube, you see these avatars that look like they came straight out of video
Oh,
games.
yeah, for sure.
So today, that's exactly what we're going to be looking into. Like, how do people even make these things? And why are they suddenly everywhere? The source material for this deep dive is actually a really cool tutorial. It's called Cómo crear un avatar viral animado gratis con CapCut. So yeah, it's all in Spanish, but don't worry, we got you covered. We're going to translate all the important stuff and highlight the most interesting bits.
You know what's really interesting about these avatars? We're seeing them pop up on a lot of automated channels on YouTube. It's almost like they're trying to create this modern and personalized feel, even though there's not a real person on camera.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. So anyway, the tutorial goes through the whole process of creating an avatar from scratch. And the first step is actually using this free AI tool called Lexica to generate the initial image. But here's the thing. The way you phrase your request, like the prompt, makes a huge difference. In the video, they give a few examples, like anime video game character with a wide sweatshirt and hood, facing forward, behind a gamer desk with a microphone, and stuff like that.
I think it's fascinating how this DIY approach using free AI and software is really changing the game for content creation. Now, anyone, regardless of their budget or artistic skills, can create a unique visual identity.
Yeah, it's like everyone suddenly has access to their own personal animation team.
Exactly. And it kind of reminds me of the whole VTuber phenomenon. You know those YouTubers who use digital avatars instead of showing their faces?
Wow.
Anime-style avatars are super popular in that world.
Oh, wow, yeah, I see the connection for sure. So back to the tutorial. They recommend making a front-facing avatar. Apparently, it makes animating the mouth easier later on. And speaking of animation, that's where things get really fun. The tutorial shows you how to use another free tool called CapCut to bring the avatar to life.
You know, I think the fact that all these tools are free and readily available is a big reason why we're seeing this huge increase in avatar use. It reminds me of the early days of YouTube when all you needed was a webcam and an idea. This feels like a similar wave of innovation.
Yeah, I totally see what you mean. So in CapCut, you basically take your static avatar image and then you layer on an animated mouth. There's actually tons of free animated mouth resources online. You just need to register to get access. The tutorial uses this cool technique called a chroma key to remove the background of the mouth animation and resize it to fit the avatar.
It's really those little details that make all the difference, like making sure the mouth is centered correctly on the avatar.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can end up looking really unnatural and even creepy.
Yeah, you definitely don't want your avatar to have like a weird floating mouth. So once you've got the mouth animation all set, you just export the final product from CapCut, and bam, you've got your animated avatar ready to go.
You know, I'm curious, when you first saw these avatars popping up online, what was your initial reaction? What stood out to you the most?
You know what really struck me was the sheer creativity of it all. It's not just about the technical process. It's about how people are using these avatars to express themselves and create these unique online personas.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's really fascinating. And it makes me think about VTubers again. It's amazing how they've built entire communities and careers around these digital avatars.
I think VTubers really highlight how the lines between real and virtual personalities are blurring. They have dedicated fan bases, they build communities, they even collaborate with brands, all through their digital personas. There's like a whole new layer of identity is emerging online. And with these AI tools becoming more accessible, who knows what kinds of creative avatars we'll see in the future?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. It's exciting to think about the possibilities. Imagine a world where everyone has a personalized digital avatar, attending virtual meetings, going to concerts, even exploring new worlds, all through these representations of themselves.
Wow. That sounds like something straight out of science fiction. I guess the question is, as this technology becomes more sophisticated, what will it mean for online content creation as a whole?
That's a great question. I think we're going to see a shift towards a more visual and personalized online experience. It's not just about sharing text and images anymore. It's about creating immersive experiences with these digital avatars.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like you mentioned earlier, this technology is putting those tools in the hands of everyday people. That seems like a huge shift in power.
Oh, absolutely. It's democratizing content creation in a way we haven't seen before. And it's not just about the technical aspect. It's about giving people the freedom to express themselves in ways that might not be possible in the real world.
So it's not just about looking cool. It's about using these avatars to tell stories, to share ideas, and to connect with others on a deeper level.
Precisely. It's like a whole new language of self-expression is emerging,
Yeah.
one that transcends geographical boundaries and cultural differences.
Wow. It's almost like we're witnessing the birth of a truly global visual culture, where anyone, regardless of their background, can participate and contribute.
That's a really interesting way to put it. And as we delve deeper into this world of avatars, it's crucial to remember that technology is just a tool. It's the human creativity and ingenuity behind it that will truly shape the future.
So as we wrap up our exploration of anime avatars, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with? What should they be thinking about as they go about their day?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. We're on the cusp of a significant shift in how we interact with the digital world. Visual identities becoming increasingly fluid and customizable. And anime avatars are just one example of that.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about replicating ourselves online anymore. It's about creating these idealized or even fantastical versions of ourselves. It kind of reminds me of those old Choose Your Own Adventure books, where you could decide who you wanted to be.
That's a great analogy. And I think that sense of agency and control is a big part of the appeal. In the digital world, we can experiment with different personas, explore new identities, and really push the boundaries of self-expression.
It's like we're all becoming digital artists in a way. And as these AI tools continue to evolve, I'm really curious to see what kind of impact they'll have on other industries. Like imagine architects using AI to design buildings, or musicians using it to compose symphonies.
The possibilities are truly endless. And it's important to remember that we're still in the early stages of this technological revolution. What we're seeing with anime avatars today is just a glimpse of what's to come.
It's exciting and a little bit mind-boggling to think about. And for all of our listeners out there who are eager to learn more, we have some amazing deep dives planned for upcoming episodes that explore AI's influence on different aspects of our lives.
We'll be delving into some truly fascinating topics. I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say we'll be covering everything from the future of work to the ethical implications of artificial intelligence.
So be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But for now, I think it's time to wrap up our exploration of anime avatars. It's been a fascinating journey, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
Agreed. This is a topic that we could easily spend hours discussing. But hopefully this deep dive has given you a better understanding of how these avatars are made, why they're becoming so popular, and what they might mean for the future of online interaction.
And who knows? Maybe we'll see some of you out there rocking your own anime avatars soon. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those imaginations running wild.
It's not just about looking cool, though, right? These avatars are like a way to tell stories, share ideas, connect with people on a whole other level.
You're right. It's like this whole new language of self-expression is popping up, one that goes beyond like borders and cultures.
Exactly. And as we keep digging into this whole avatar thing, we got to remember technology is just a tool. It's human creativity and ingenuity that'll really shape the future.
So true. As we wrap up our look at anime avatars, what's the one big thing you want listeners to take away from this? What should they be thinking about as they go about their day?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that we're kind of at this turning point in how we interact with the digital world. Visual identity is becoming so much more fluid and customizable. And these anime avatars are really just one example of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just about copying ourselves online anymore, is it? It's about creating these like idealized versions of ourselves, or even totally fantastical versions. It reminds me of those old Choose Your Own Adventure books where you could decide who you wanted to be.
Right. That's a perfect analogy. And I think that feeling of being in control, that's a big part of why people are drawn to this. In the digital world, we can play around with different personas, explore new identities, really push the limits of how we express ourselves.
Yeah, it's like we're all becoming digital artists in a way. And as these AI tools get even better, I can't help but wonder what impact they'll have on other fields. Like, imagine architects using AI to design buildings, or musicians using it to compose symphonies.
The possibilities are mind-blowing. And the thing is, we're still in the early stages of this whole technological revolution. What we see with anime avatars today is just a tiny preview of what's to come.
It's exciting and a little scary to think about, right? But for our listeners out there who want to learn more about this stuff, we've got some awesome deep dives coming up. We're going to be exploring how AI is affecting all sorts of things in our lives.
We're diving into some really fascinating topics, so I don't want to spoil anything. But we'll be looking at the future of work, the ethics of artificial intelligence, all sorts of cool stuff.
So make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. But for now, it's time to wrap up our deep dive on anime avatars. It's been a wild ride. And honestly, I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
I agree. We could talk about this for hours. But hopefully you now have a better grasp on how these avatars are made, why they're blowing up online,
Yeah.
and what they might mean for how we connect with each other online in the future.
And hey, who knows? Maybe we'll see some of you rocking your own anime avatars soon. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those imaginations firing.